Wonderful. I thank you everyone for sharing a little bit about your background and why you're here. I'm very honored to be here chatting with you all today about AI and marketing and some extra special acronyms that we'll be flinging at you. My name is Peggy Tierney Galvin. I'm co-founder and chief strategy officer of Force4 Technology Communications. We are a strategic communications agency headquartered here in Santa Cruz. We've been doing this for over 20 years. If we can go to the next slide, por favor. Thank you. And we are a team of 20, so boutique agency. We're independently owned and operated, myself and three partners or the leadership team. We've been working together for over a decade, and we provide strategic communications, so media relations, analyst relations, social media, thought leadership, speakers bureaus, awards programs, all kinds of stuff to our clients. And our clients are on the large B2B technology companies. So networking and storage, AI, ML, automation, cybersecurity is a core competency area of ours, and wireless and mobility. So, and they run the gamut from venture or bootstrapped startups to mid-sized companies, publicly held or publicly traded or privately held, and some BUs of major global businesses. So very exciting space, very exciting times for all of these areas. Of course, part of any holistic marketing strategy includes your digital presence. And we're seeing a number of the conventional elements of marketing, communications, PR, paid search, paid advertising, compress even further with the advent of generative AI. We all know SEO. It's awful. It's kind of this weird Byzantine lore that you have to do on the back end of your website. It seems to change every 6 months when Google decides that it wants to tweak its algorithm, but it's necessary, and it's just kind of how the game is played. Now that there has been so much investment in generative AI models and LLMs that are now scraping the websites, the internet for content, it's changing how you are discovered and how your brand is discovered and how your website is discovered by partners, customers, prospects. And with that, the result of what folks are searching for is getting compressed. You're getting instant synthesized answers generated by AI on the search result page instead of a series of websites. And that is a model and a mode shift away from the website itself, your website being the trusted source of information on a subject, and keeping the searcher's attention on the search results page. This is a big tension and conflict that's happening right now between those owners of that content, websites like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, who are seeing website traffic drop off dramatically as a result of that. Thank you. So, but even though there are companies like Cloudflare who are saying, we can stop these bots from coming to your site and scraping content, other companies are springing up that, will, charge bots a toll to scrape that content off your site. That'll buy you time. But as we all know, unfortunately, these aren't fads. These are just how the industry is evolving. So a new discipline is emerging, generative engine optimization. You also may see AEO, agentic engine optimization. We'll see how that nomenclature battle works out in the press. It's going to be like a Betamax versus VHS thing. For the purpose of this conversation, we'll say GEO, just to keep it simple. But the idea is, how do you now optimize your website, optimize your content strategy for these agentic AI crawlers that are indexing your site? And how can you advance and evolve your marketing and content strategy to prepare for that generative first future where we already are? So probably helpful to do a little bit of a level set on compare contrast, like grade school English class, on what the differences are between SEO and GEO. A lot of similarities, right? But there's just, again, kind of structural nuances that are important to understand because they are going to impact how you develop content, how you outreach content, what your overall aim is. So first and foremost, important to understand SEO is not going away anytime soon. I know a lot of the outreach for this session today was like, AI is going to completely torch your website and, everything is going to die. That's probably not, if not, just yet. We've got some time. I think Google processes 9 to 15 14 billion search queries a day, and ChatGPT has like 1 billion prompts a day currently. That may shift and flex, but you still have to have your SEO strategy. So there's different bots, they're trawling your website for different things. Just, keep on keeping on. But the audience for tools like ChatGPT or Google's search generative engine is important in a number of ways. So GEO targets those AI crawlers who are looking for context and clarity and authority. That means that you will have to have an agentic AI optimized website, much like when the iPhone came out in 2009. All of a sudden you had to have a mobile optimized website. Remember, it couldn't just be like the browser website on the, we all remember those days. And then then it was like, Christ almighty, we have to go and like reformat the whole blessed thing and then we have to maintain them both. But now everything's on mobile. So that's just kind of, it sucks, but it's just part of the dance. And placement. So GEO optimizing your site, it optimized the optimization part where you're gunning for is getting included in that AI generated summary on the search or prompt results page. SEO is looking for page rankings. It's just, graded on different curves. GEO looks for concise, clear, authoritative content, not much different from how you or I might read something and understand it as clear and concise and authoritative. It understands context. So it's not like those, it's not like keyword stuffing or, backlinks or domain authority or all the other websites that are stuffed full of questions like, so when does the Super Bowl start? And metrics at the end of the day. GEO is not looking for clicks. It's looking for mentions or citations in AI outputs.
What does that mean? Citations in AI outputs? Like quotes or something?
Citations like, is it authoritative? Does it show its work? Is it something that looks real? So we'll talk about that a little bit further on with more detail on what that means. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we can see just a snapshot of what these are looking like, searching for top tech startups in Santa Cruz, for example. These are some on the left in a ChatGPT prompt output, and same search here on the right. They're just going to be different. So how do you make sure that if you are a tech startup in Santa Cruz, for example, I know there's all kinds of folks here from the nonprofit world, from the hospitality space, B2C space here. Imagine yourself here. How do you make sure that you show up in these results here on the left? Thank you. So visibility, new meaning in the context of your PR, your external comms strategy in a Gen AI focused world. It's first and foremost being recognized and credible in a very noisy, chaotic landscape. There's a lot of slop out there. There's a lot of AI generated slop. There's a lot of websites that are just clickbait for certain types of results. But what the AI agents are looking for is like, are you credible? Is this an actual authority on something where if someone asks, I can pull up the answer and have your content be part of that answer? So you want to be showing up as part of your comm strategy consistently, credibly, in the right channels, in the right communications, third-party validation by trusted sources, that is going to help. And again, I mean, a lot of this you may be thinking like, well, sure, that's just already part of my comm strategy. And if so, that is great, because we'll talk about this a little later on. A lot of the stuff that you would be doing to optimize your comms strategy, your website for GEO, is also stuff that you would ideally already be doing for assets for your prospects, you know, actual things that are helpful, actual content that is readable and useful, and assets that you can use to move people along the buyer's journey through the sales funnel. So it's not extra effort, like how SEO can kind of be annoying about, you know, all this, you know, tomfoolery on the back end that no one else will see. It's kind of a both and, you know, write once, read many sort of thing. And what drives visibility? Earned media placements, PR-driven content, third-party validation, right there. Trustworthy, cited sources that people know where it came from, know what it means. And when your company is featured in respected media outlets, for example, that trains the model. It trains AI on what it learns about you, and also what it learns about the space that you're in. So you have the opportunity to kind of, you know, some of the work that we do with our clients on the analyst space, for example, is help them set a category. If you are a B2B tech, sometimes there's like categories that industry analysts create of everything in a particular type of space. And if you are helping create a new category, you can be like the company associated with that. And that is ideally, that's, you know, kind of winning a gold medal in this GEO space. Right. Next slide, please. All right. So how does earned media boost your relevancy for these AI agents? The AI agents that are scraping websites to create these AI-generated summaries look for content that is clearly written, cleanly structured, authoritative, and trustworthy. It loves Wikipedia content for this reason. You go to a Wikipedia article, it's formatted to high heaven. It's got beautiful outline structure. It reminds you of classes that you took in college where, you know, there's the table of contents, and it's very clear what sections follow from the others, what elements are included in each section. They're replicable across articles. Those are the types of formats that the AI agents love. So anything else like that you can put together is great. Again, this is different from SEO, which has a lot of like back office stuff that you do to optimize the flow of the crawlers for different parts of your sites. And some of the folks who in here who mentioned Google Ads, Google AdWords, this is going to be another big question mark. How AdWords, ads with Google and keywords and all that good stuff changes with GEO. With SEO, stays the same, but I mean, think about some of the prompts. If you guys are using Chat GPT on the regular, some of those prompts that you put in there are like paragraphs. They're very, very, you know, detailed things. And then there's like nuances of like, you know, how you're training the prompts if it gives you something that's absolutely horrific to look at. Very hard to like buy AdWords based on that. So, you know, TBD on how Google's going to figure out how to monetize that one. But we'll figure that out when it comes. So yes, the new agents are going to rank content in the same way a human reader does. Is it clear? Does it make sense? Does it cite sources in natural language and not, you know, some Byzantine embedded link somewhere else? It's like, this is from this article and here's from this particular publication. Next slide. Thank you very much. So some specifics on what you can do in your own organizations, businesses. Get a baseline. Anytime you want to start measuring something on the start of any project, where are you now? What are the baselines? Where are you now with the different KPIs that you want to measure against? So audit how your company appears in some of these you know, engines. Go in and you know, it's like Googling yourself, but it's putting your company, your business into a handful of these engines, Claude, Perplexity. Have at it. What does it return? Ask it questions about who you are and who you rank. Ask it about your competitors and how you rank against your competitors. Don't take it personally. You just got to establish a baseline. And then it'll start giving you, and then with additional prompts, you can ask how it's weighting those results, where it's pulling those rankings from, and you can kind of start to get a sense of the third-party frameworks or rubrics it uses to inform those weights. You can identify areas to improve. Again, use clean so all the stuff that you may or may not remember from English class, but like clean headlines, consistent messaging, well-tagged digital assets that provide a lot of like upstream, downstream context, like FAQs, explainer blogs, press releases. I know there's always an ongoing dialogue about, are press releases even still relevant anymore? LLMs, AI agents, love press releases because, again, it is a formulaic pattern of information that is written in a very standardized format with the most important information at the top, knowing that you can stop reading at any point in a press release, and what you have read already is more important than anything else down below.
Is it possible now that even, let's say you're creating a white paper or something, put it into ChatGPT or whatever and say, how would you rewrite this for better GEO?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely part of it. So, you know, those are audits. Those are tools that you can use generative engines for. And yes, there will be Q&A at the end of this. So yes, go on.
But when you would put that into, let's say, ChatGPT and ask it to improve it, edit it, rewrite it, then it's out there, right?
That's correct.
So somebody else could take it, or
you would never want to put your, you know, clean text spreadsheet of passwords into ChatGPT, for example, or, you know, your P&L sheet, or your, you know, your Salesforce export of all your prospects or what have you. But if it's already on the public internet, it's been scraped already. So, you know, so definitely don't put any trade secrets there. Don't put anything there that has not yet to be announced that is, you know, could move your stock's price in a terrifying way if it were to get out. But, you know, people do put a lot of stuff in there. There will be Q&A at the end. I know this, but yes.
Are you saying, will the models train themselves, or do we need to actively go push content?
This is all about actively training the model. The models are training themselves on what is publicly available. So your goal is to go out and like put, you know, like heat map, you know, put like if it's a heat map, put like little heat sources around in the pattern that you want reflected back of your company. So if you don't put your stuff out where it is searching, it's, if someone goes and searches for you, they're about, you know, top 5 companies in your area, and you don't show up, and they may not have the presence of mind to be like, no, there's this one company out there I must know about, but I don't know what it is, and I'm going to go. So those results are now like the kind of the final destination for a lot of people. So it's you going out and putting your content in the places that it indexes and ranks and trusts. Shall we keep going? And then we can get to, okay, excellent. But great questions, everyone. So yes, high quality media placements. Again, it's that authoritative third-party credibility in a publication. We see there's kind of the New York Times and other, you know, like suing Google because it is just going through and like scraping its website for all of the content. And then, you know, you search for news and Google's like, I got it right here. And the Times is like, so there's this push-pull, right, and tension of the model and like who gets to monetize it. You know, we're talking about advertising. Advertising shifted over to Craigslist, and that kind of was like shot one for local papers. And now with advertising on Google, there's a whole bunch of different side elements of this. But regardless, the credibility that your company has being posted on a publication's webpage is huge for things like this. And again, same for your human customers, your human readership, right? Because this is all stuff that you can go and share on social media. All these assets that we're talking about, written in a clear, natural format. Share these assets on social media, share them with your prospects as you're following up. And be intentional with keywords, terminology. If you have a positioning and messaging framework, great. Make sure that is, tight and current. And if not, put one together so there's a common denominator in all of your external comms and what you're doing. Because, this is how we advise clients when they do media training, right? Anything that you say to this reporter, even if it's off the record, you have to be prepared for it to show up in the headline with your picture next to it, completely out of context. So just be mindful of what you say. And similarly, any podcast that you do, any video that, panel that is filmed at like a trade show or something, anything that you put out in a blog or a social media post, be prepared for that to show up as part of the result. So consistency is key. You want to have the conversation you want to be having. Have that conversation. Right. So what does GEO, So what does GEO mean for the evolution of marketing? Over the next couple of years, it's going to compress any daylight between search, PR, content, comms, marketing. It's just kind of like part of that same ecosystem. But this is just going to blur the boundaries even more. PR will continue to be a primary driver for AI visibility. The trusted third-party sources that you're getting your company's name into are going to be major ways to train the model to show that you're trustworthy, that your brand is trustworthy. At the end of the day, SEO itself is going to evolve into narrative optimization. So you want to make sure as you are continuing with that strategy that it's all consistent. Make sure that your comms team knows about the Google AdWords that you are purchasing, and just make sure that's across the board in everything that you do. And certainly if you are going into a new space, if you're a technology company, a startup, where you're like, we don't have any competitors because no one is doing what we're doing. So, very important. So you want to be able to own that space and have your company associated with this new space as it comes up. So you have to be very clean and clear and direct and consistent about how you're characterizing yourself externally. And ultimately, source authority, content integrity, and long-term discoverability are going to be key pillars of your content approach. So what you can do today, you can search for your, tips that you can use. You can search for your company on these AI tools like we talked about. Also search for your executives. Search for your own selves. See what do they know about you? Where'd they get that from? Make sure it's accurate. Make sure it's credible. Invest in PR to get some high-earned media coverage that is relevant and helps feed these models, helps train these models when people are searching for these things, that you are a resource that comes up in the results. Create quality, consistent, well-tagged content on your site. If you've already been doing this, that is wonderful. Just think about giving it a light refresh for formatting. And think about, the formatting of the site. Is it easy to parse, easy to understand? Is it clear? Is it direct? And then cross-reference and cross-post all of that content on your own social channels like LinkedIn to make sure that any site that's being crawled, you're appearing in multiple places associated with all of the kind of cloud word, keyword ecosystems that you want to be associated with. And bottom line, these areas are all converging very fast. So important to have a strategy that anticipates and builds in both your human audiences and your agentic audiences. And fortunately, a lot of that, as we mentioned, is pretty congruent already, but it's just about knowing how to do it and when. I think there's one more. And if anyone is interested, we're happy to do a complimentary audit on your website. You can just reach out to me at my email, Peggy@force4.co, not co, but co. And yeah, thank you very much for your time and attention, and happy to open up to any questions. Yes.